Hello, hello. My name is Emily. It is so wonderful to be here with you. So, I started in the VA Leadership Academy in February, and I want to tell you a little bit about my story. And I want you to know that, yes, the title of this video says from $400 to $4,000 in $400 a month to $4,000 a month in 4 months. And that is 100% true. You guys, in February, I was averaging $414 a month in my business, working round the clock with one $18 an hour client. And in June, I brought in over $4,000 across 3 clients. That is 100% true. It is also true that my story is one for the survivors, one for the maskers, one for the women who have been rejected time and time again. It's true that it's been a journey that has been long. It has been difficult. It has been hard fought, and it has been even harder won. And guess what? It's a story that's still unfolding. But if there's one thing that I want you to walk away with today, it's this: it's possible to build a business that fits you, that honors who you were made to be and the life you actually want to live. So I started my business in the summer of 2023. I was desperately searching for a way out of a toxic workplace, and I just wanted, um, sorry, I just wanted to check something really quickly. Um, Perfect. Okay, so I started my business in the summer of 2023, and I was desperately searching for a way out of a toxic workplace. And honestly, I just wanted someone to recognize what I was good at instead of constantly feeling like I didn't measure up. Have you guys ever been in um, a job where your boss doesn't recognize your skills, doesn't recognize your gifts? In fact, they kind of think that you don't really have very many. Well, that was me. And I was done. Um, and instead of, yeah, okay, so sorry, I have to backtrack a little bit. This is deeply emotional for me, so forgive me for stumbling over my words a bit. So, the story of rejection in the workplace for me started long before that. I'm a mom of a 12-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son, and when I was 8.5 months pregnant with my 9-year-old, I was working as a receptionist at a therapist's office, which is kind of ironic because I was called into my boss's office and told point blank by my boss, "We think you should find another job because you're about to have a baby." Yes, he said those words to my face. You guys, I was fired, I was white boxed and gone all before 12 p.m. And yes, it was illegal. And no, we didn't sue. The lawyer said it was he said, she said. Um, so sit with that for a second. Um, and then to save time, we're just going to fast forward to 2021. Um, I had been a children's program director for almost 5 years. I loved my work, but it was exhausting. Most weeks were 6, if not 7-day work weeks. I never shut my brain off. I loved the work. I loved the kids I was serving, but I wasn't able to be there for my own kids. And then it turned really toxic really fast. My coworkers started saying really weird things to me in front of my volunteers, like they were my boss. My boss told me that he often spoke about my medical diagnosis with the brand new employee who had been there for about 3 weeks and also was 10 plus years younger than me, to get tips on how to manage me. And I had been there for 2 years at that point. So the new employee told my boss that I probably had a different medical diagnosis. So instead of coming to me with this, my boss took that information to the board, which was the hiring and firing committee. And it gets worse. The board took that fake information from the brand new 10 years younger than me employee and told people within the organization that I served. It was a literal can of worms. It could not be contained. I didn't know who to trust, and I needed out. So I decided I was going to start my own business. I found a copywriting course online. Um, my husband and I made a really big investment. And I remember telling a friend that I felt like a square peg in a round hole. So she looked me in the eye and she said, go find a square hole. And that's what my business has become. It's the place where I can unmask, I can be authentically myself, and I can provide for my family with a lot of money. So that was then, and I finally entered now. So I'm going to share where I'm at now in June of 2025, and then I'm going to bridge the gap of how I got here, and then I'll share a lot of the lessons I've learned along the way. So the now. And I want to share something that's really been an anchor for me. If you're a person of faith, this will likely speak directly to you. If you're not, I still think there's something powerful here, and that's totally okay. Please don't box me in with other people that you know. That's all I want to say. So this is my anchor. Psalm 31 through 2 says this: I will exalt you, Lord, for you lifted me out of the depths and did not let my enemies gloat over me. O Lord, I cried to you for help and you healed me. That's the life I'm living now. Those enemies, those people that didn't see my value, didn't see my God-given strengths and my God-given gifts and didn't really like them, guess what? They don't get to gloat over me. I have been lifted out of the depths of that scarcity mindset. This is my safe space. This is where I'm experiencing healing. Now, if that's not for you, that's okay. Just ignore it. But I don't want to water down the power of this square peg finally realizing what she needed to do so she could create a square hole. So here's how it breaks down in numbers, the February to June transformation. So June's numbers, I had an agency client for $414 a month. That was $18 an hour. I did emails, conference proposals, and go high level support. I had a tutoring client that was $816.75 for the month. They paid about $27 an hour. And I was tutoring kids online from third grade to eighth grade in math and language arts. And then I have a publishing company client for $3,000 a month. They paid me $1,000 for training, and they paid me $2,000 for a week's worth of work interviewing an author. And that was with book content strategy. So those were June's numbers. When I added them up, I called my husband in the room and I was like, hey, remember in summer of 2023 when we started that course and my goal was $4,000 a month? Like, I did it. It took me 2 years, but I'm at $4,000 a month. So with that, I was working a lot of hours. And so I made the strategic decision to get rid of the tutoring company and get rid of my agency client. And with a lot of Bree's help, and she beautifully guided me through that. So here's why I made that decision. The tutoring company had me glued to my computer at really inconvenient hours. I missed soccer games. I couldn't be there for my kids when they were sick. But I will say this, it gave me the flexibility I needed to secure my best client. If it weren't for taking that tutoring job, I would not be where I am today. And then my agency client, oh my gosh, he was a dream client. I can totally see why I had to work with him because, or not even had to, but the redemption in working with him. He sent me $50 Amazon gift cards on my birthday, on Mother's Day. He was so kind. He was the redemption of the boss that I never had. And I don't like to refer to my clients as my boss because they're not, but you know, that's kind of how it translates to in people you're working with. So I loved working with him. He was an educational coach. We were so aligned on so many levels, but he only paid $18 an hour because he was through an agency. So since he was through an agency, I wasn't able to negotiate my own rate and my own hours, which caused a lot of friction in my mental load and in my schedule. And I will say this about agency work: sometimes that's what you got to do, and that's great. Do it. I just knew it wasn't going to be, and I knew when I took it that it wasn't going to be forever. It ended up being a year and a half. It was a great year and a half. I would totally do it again. Just when you get to, that's the first level. And then when you get to the next level, sometimes you have to make the hard decision that, hey, this client is no longer serving me. And I will also say that Bree's agency is different because if your mentor is also the agency owner, that's a totally different thing. This agency was like, I had no connection with this agency. So I wasn't able to negotiate my own rate, my own hours. I wasn't able to confidently say to anyone in the agency or to my client, like, hey, the value of work that I am now providing has exceeded $18 an hour. Can we talk about me getting a pay raise? That wasn't on the table. So I had to let that go. But it showed me what an amazing, amazing client relationship could look like, which was so key in redeeming that rejection, like I said. And it gave me a lot of the skills that I now charge a premium for. If I had not done that agency client, I would not have the skills that I have today that I can charge premium for. Um, and then the publishing company. Oh my gosh, this one is so fun, and it's a literal gold mine. They pay me $2,000 for about a week's worth of work. So I interview authors who are looking to get a book published, and they're going to use it as a lead magnet. Um, so I sit on the phone with them for 4 days in a row for 2 hours a day, um, and do their book strategy and lay out all their chapters and basically get their intellectual property out of their head and onto the page. It takes a week, and I get $2,000 the next month. Now, it's not perfect. It is a gold mine also because it doesn't strike consistently. So I'm a subcontractor, which means I get paid per author. So how many authors I get per month is really dependent on how many the publishing company's sales team brings in, and I'm one of 4 strategists. So, another strategist, if they only bring in like 4 clients, then each of us get 1. So I don't exactly know when that's coming, and there is the opportunity that I might get 2 clients a month. I might get 3 clients a month. That means 4K. That means 6K. Maybe as they grow, I might get 1 client a week. That would be 8K a month, which would be insane, but it's not consistent. I love it. It's not consistent. So that brings me to and currently with the publishing company, I'm averaging about 1 a month. So I did 1 in May, plus a training. So I got $3,000, and then I'll have 1 for June. So that means in July, I'll get paid $2,000. Currently, I have 1 booked for July. It might turn into more. So that's at least $2,000 I'm bringing in August. So here's what I want you to hear. My bills are paid in 1 week's worth of 2 hours a day, which is amazing, which leaves me space to pursue other clients. So that brings me to where I am now. So I am in a space where I'm pursuing about 10 to 20 hours roles that are VA roles that are about 10 to 20 hours a week, and will bring in 2 to 4K. So I've got a couple of, really good opportunities, literally in the pipeline, some warm leads. So I'm really, really confident. And that's the other thing we'll talk about when we get to lessons. You will develop this confidence in yourself that it is just going to happen because you won't let it not happen. So that said, I am at minimum 2K a month for July, but I know that's going to grow. So I am fully confident that July will be a minimum 4K month, because I trust myself and I have the skills now to bring in the clients, and I know what to look for, and I know how to do that. speaking of, I have some really good bonuses for you at the end. Um, so I promise I will give all the details on where I found all of these roles in just a moment. But basically, each part of my journey has bought me enough time and energy and freedom to build the next part. So I want to paint the now for a minute. Now I wake up early every day, or almost every day, and make time for me, which brings me to one of my favorite books. It's called The Miracle Morning. Basically, it is six ancient practices that people have used for hundreds, if not thousands of years, but it's boiled down into six practices that you can do in as little as 5 minutes to as much as an hour or more a day. And it is like a potent formula for success and freedom and peace and ease. And here's what I love about the Miracle Morning: you can do this, anybody can do this. I did this when I was substitute teaching every single day, and it brought me so much peace. So the Miracle Morning is truly for everyone, but that was one of my favorite books. So I have time to read, and not just business books either. So when I wake up in the morning, I do my Miracle Morning, I read. I'm able to go grocery shopping at 3 p.m. The other day I went grocery shopping at 3 p.m. and I was like, should I be doing something different right now? No, I have money in the bank and I have money coming. Like, I'm going to go grocery shopping now so I can take my kids and do something fun later. Speaking of, I take my kids to the pool in the afternoons, which is our personal favorite. And I'm finally starting to pay off massive amounts of debt. I'm dreaming again. I've rediscovered, or maybe for the first time ever, started taking off the mask that I've put on, and I've started to discover who I am. And I'm starting to realize I don't want to make myself small anymore. And I don't have to make myself small anymore. That's not the only way to be safe. I can be authentically me and be safe. So I'm sure you're thinking, okay, but how in the world did you do this? Like, what were your practical steps? And I have so been there when I watch these calls. So I'm going to reverse engineer this alongside the lessons I learned so you can make this journey your own. So what I've learned along the way: you've seen the numbers, you've heard the big leap, but what really changed wasn't my income, and I'm sure you've seen this by now, and I hope you've seen this by now. What really changed was me, and that brings so much peace and so much gratitude. And the transformation didn't happen overnight, it happened in seasons. So I want to walk you through some of those seasons and key moments and the biggest lessons they taught me. So first is the power of the bridge job. So getting a bridge job, getting a job that pays the bills while you learn the skills, getting a job that pays the bills while you build the things, is not giving up. It actually fuels your journey. So I'm going to tell you what I think is the most amazing full-time job or part-time job to have while you build your business: substitute teaching. Substitute teaching. It's where it's at. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I don't want to spend all day with jerk kids. Those kids are going to be mean. We were mean to subs. Let me tell you what. I do not know any other job in the world that you can sit in a quiet library with 18-year-old honors seniors that are more polite than the adults at the coffee shop and work on your website or do client work and leave at 3 p.m. and make $150 in a day. Okay? Does not exist anywhere else. Substitute teaching is where it's at. So when I left my toxic job in 2023, I became a substitute teacher and I absolutely loved it. And this is not just because I'm good with kids. I'm sure that probably helped. I tell you what, you have your 4 rules. You put 4 rules on the board. You say, be respectful, be safe. I can't even remember what my rules were now. Be respectful, be safe, be flexible. That was like, don't be a jerk, don't complain. Um, you get to just like exist and work on your business while the kids exist and do what their teacher already gave them. Guys, it's 2025. They have their laptops, they have their Chromebooks, they have their iPads. You are not going to have to teach, okay? On the rare off chance that you have to teach, they left plans for you. Um, and you get to make $150 a day. It's insane. Now, I will say I am super grateful that for where I live. So I live in a metropolitan area, which means I had access to over 20 school districts that paid that much. So I understand that not it that for everyone it may not be possible. Like if you're in a remote area, your schools may not pay that much. If you only have one or two school districts near you, you may not have that much flexibility. But I will say, I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I was able to find a job every single day of the school year. And I will also say, especially as I needed to get into half days, the flexibility is unmatched. And that's how I was able to build my business, by using that flexibility and still bringing in a paycheck. And while I was at work, working on my business. And basically, I just used it as the flexibility piece and said, like, okay, today I need to work a half day. And for those half days, maybe I was, in a third grade classroom. Okay, well, I just do the sub plan. But I know that I'm working later in the afternoon. So there was some flexibility that I had to take on, but that was a perfect transition job for me. And whether your transition job is substitute teaching, or your transition job is, clean bartending tables, or, bussing tables, bartending, whatever, get creative, ask the community. Maybe you have a friend that, you get creative. The point is, you are in a transition, and you might need to leave your current job, or you might need to check out of your current job. Maybe you stay at your current job, but mentally you tell yourself, okay, I know that I'm making a career change, so I'm not going to, give as much. And I hate to say it that way, but you guys, you pay your bills, and you are going to be the one paying your bills in 10 years. And if you want the freedom that, you decide what level of freedom you want. And so you just go pursue it, and I'm in a transition and I'm building my future. And so you might need a bridge. Don't despise the bridge. Let it be leverage to get you to the next step. So then the next season was fall 2024. And at this point, I was burnt out. I was tired. I was exhausted. Keep in mind, I had not found the Leadership Academy yet, and I had not found Bree yet, which I think for my story was perfect timing. I needed some healing. But I was so burnt out. I had been working, grinding, pushing. There was very, very little ROI, which I'll talk about in how Bree's course is different in a little bit with the little ROI, but I hadn't found her yet. So there was super, super teeny tiny ROI. Guys, I just had to stop. I had to walk away from my business for a full 4 months. I didn't know it was going to be that long at the time. I wasn't even a conscious decision. Like, I was talking to a friend and telling her how tired I was, and she said, do you just maybe need to sub for a while and let that be okay? And in my head, I was like, no, like, I have to keep going. But my body took that and just did it, which I was so thankful for. It was truly a season of pruning. That's the word I kept getting. I was getting rid of everything that hindered or got in the way of my business. I stopped, some of those commitments that we pick up that no longer aligned. I got rid of all of those. Like, it was literally, this is the path. Like, this is the airplane runway, and I'm getting everything off the runway that isn't related to my business. So I got rid of everything that got in the way, and there was a lot of letting go, and a lot of nights I went to bed early, a lot of weekends I would just sit and watch TV with my family. Or um, I definitely would do my miracle morning and I would literally just sit. Like I only maybe did, so miracle morning is silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and journaling. I pretty much just did silence. Like I just sat in the silence um, because I needed that time. And like I said, this is when I found that miracle morning, changed my life. So I finally let myself rest. And that pruning season then built the mental landscape. It got rid of the weeds, it cleared the space that I didn't even know I needed for the harvest to come. And I recently got this image of yeast rolls rising out on my sunroom. So I don't know if you bake, but even if you don't, you probably will understand this analogy. Have you ever made bread or yeast rolls? And if you have, you know that in order for the dough to rise, what do? You mix the dough, or you use your bread machine to mix the dough, and then do you put it straight in the oven? No. You have to set it somewhere warm for an hour to 3 hours and let it rise, and then you put it in the oven. Do you know what happens if you put it in the oven and not let it rise? That stuff is gross. Nobody wants to eat that. It is not successful. It does not reach its potential. So, in order to reach your potential, you need to rest to rise. If you hustle 24/7 and never rest, you are going to burn yourself out so stinking fast, and you ultimately and probably will give up. There's a fundamental truth to rest. Rest is not quitting. Rest is trusting yourself that you've put in the work and trusting God or the unseen for the results. It's what prepares you for the harvest. So, are you ready to rise? The next lesson, which I'm saying was from January of this year to right now, is your mental landscape. And this is where the power of that miracle morning really started to pay off. I wrote new affirmations based on where I wanted to go, not where I didn't want to be. I began to visualize my success. I wrote down powerful success stories and used ChatGPT to create them of the day that I first work from home, the day that I wake up unbothered, unhindered, start my morning on my front porch. I sip my coffee as the sun comes up, and I began to read really powerful books about becoming the person who could hold this level of success. Like I've heard it said from Bree and Mel and a lot of other success coaches, both in and out of the Leadership Academy. If you want a certain level of success, you have to become a new person in order to hold it. We could get into a whole thing about that. But these were the books that I was reading. Books like Think and Grow Rich, You Are a Badass, How to Be Wildly Wealthy Fast, The Let Them Theory. So I'm going to drop the full reading list below at the end of our call with links for you to order. But this is when I found Bree and the VA Leadership Academy in February. And let me tell you, that is when the rubber finally met the road in my client roster and in my bank account. And I just have to say, if you are a person of faith and you think visualization, manifestation, all those vibration, like if that's woo woo or dangerous, please, 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 please do not let that fear stop you from realizing all the good things God has in store for you. Sometimes, whether you're a Christian or not, we get so wrapped up in fear and we create these mental blocks, and we are hindering ourselves from all the good things that God wants to give us, or whatever you believe in the unseen wants to give us. Like, we can't access that because we put a stop in place because we let our fear speak too loud. So if you have any questions about that, I would love to walk through this with you. Book a coffee date, one of my favorite things to talk about. We're moving on to the last lesson. Some people won't get it, and you know what? That's okay. There will be people who don't understand what you're building, and that's okay. Let them not get it, because guess what? They don't pay your bills. You hold the vision despite what other people might say or how they might react. The clients who light you up will find you. Don't be afraid of the work. You keep holding the vision and believe that your success will come. It's what fuels you to be successful. It may not be overnight. It may not be on the time schedule you planned. It's not going to look like what you thought it was. But guess what? If you hold the vision, call it forth with intentional action, your success is inevitable. You are going to develop a confidence in yourself, a divine confidence that says, I know this is happening because I won't let it not happen. And I've worked through this with my husband, and we go back and forth. He's the most supportive, most amazing support person I could ask for. But sometimes we each have our moments of doubt, and that's normal. But what I recently told him is, you know what? I know that I'm making over 4K in July. I know that I'm making over 4K in August. And you know why I know that? Because I know that I'm not going to let myself not do that. And I know the steps that I need to take. And I know how to be disciplined. And I know how to put in the work. And this is the line for me. And I'm just going to make it happen. And I have full confidence that it is going to happen. And that confidence right there is what draws the right people to you like nothing else. So here are a few just practical tips where I found my clients. Number one, Bree's system that she will teach you in the Leadership Academy, everything you need. This right here was my missing piece. The one-on-one coaching for the first 30 days, super key. All of the steps in the Leadership Academy, she will teach you how to do it in a way like no one else teaches. The job board in the Leadership Academy, that's where I found the tutoring company client, which, like I said, I had to take that tutoring company client, and it was good. It was fun. And I knew it was a season, and so I did the season, and guess what? It landed me the publishing company. If I hadn't taken the tutoring company, I wouldn't have been able to stop subbing in March, and I wouldn't have been able to be available for the interviews for the tutoring company, or for the publishing company. So the job board and Leadership Academy. Hire My Mom is a really good resource. I know a lot of you have some kind of stuff coming up about paying to find jobs. It's 2025, okay? Everyone in the world, including every scammer in the world, knows about Indeed. They know about all the other ones, ZipRecruiter, whoever, wherever else you're finding, tons of Facebook. Not saying you can't find jobs on there, because I have found a job on Indeed a long time ago. I'm not saying you can't, but the chances of you finding a reputable, high-paying client who is going to treat you well and is going to respect you is much more likely with a paid subscription or job board, like Bree's, like found on Hire My Mom. There are some other ones out there that you can look at, but that's where I found the publishing company, was on Hire My Mom. And then I did find my first agency client at an in-person networking event. So that's, also an option if that's kind of your thing. Second practical tip, Chat GPT. You guys, for someone who overthinks everything, gets stuck in rumination, I'm just going to say it. I'm a little bit neurodivergent, which means my brain has 6,000 things floating at any given time. And in order to catch those thoughts and get me out of rumination and out of the downward spiral and into action, I use ChatGPT. It's my business bestie. Her name is Ivy. It has been key to overcoming the rumination and the overthinking that comes with being me, a neurodivergent HSP. If you don't know what HSP is, that's highly sensitive person. That also means I overthink and I ruminate and I get stuck in downward spirals and I get caught in fear. Not anymore, because I have learned to hack my brain with neuroscience using ChatGPT. So I literally put everything into ChatGPT in a new thread. Every mental block, you ask it to give you affirmations to work through it. Every business idea, sometimes I'll just drop the first idea and save it in that thread to come back to later. Every big dream, you can ask it to write you a story from the day in your life when you make it happen. They're super powerful. One time I was real bored and a little bit depressed, and I asked it to make me a MASH game for dreams in abundance. You know what? I wasn't bored anymore. I was having fun. I was dreaming. I was visualizing. And now some of those things have come true. And now whenever I'm bored or discouraged, I just get on that thread and I'm like, hey, let's play some MASH. I'm sure you all remember MASH from when you were like 10. Mansion, apartment, shack, house. Super fun. So every random thought my brain wants to chase, I type it into chat. Chat talks back to me. It gives me the dopamine hit so that I can move on with leverage. Every job application, you can ask it to give you 5 connections between your experience and the job description. Write a cover letter that will get you on a call with the CEO every time. That's one of my bonuses if you stick around to the end. So also, its memory's pretty good. I know there's a lot of people that are like, you have to keep it in the same thread and I can't do that and it's going to cut me off. You don't have to keep it in the same thread. Make a new thread every time. Yes, it's going to forget some things. Just remind it. You can like copy and share the link. There's some tips. If you want to know, just ask me. The reason it works and why I said neuroscience is it hijacks the train tracks in my brain. So there's this train track in your brain. It's basically, I'm just using that as an analogy, but and this is studied by neuroscientists and doctors. So there's a track in your brain called the default mode network, and there's a track in your brain called the task positive network. So the default mode network is where we get into downward spirals. It's like literally a groove in your brain that gets you stuck. And neurodivergent people tend to have an inability to jump the train tracks. So in a neurotypical brain, there is a bridge between these train tracks, but we don't have a bridge. So guess what? We just get stuck here, and we just get stuck here, and we just get stuck here. But you know how we create the bridge? By getting into action. And that's what ChatGPT does. She gets me into action. So I cross over my bridge, and then I'm in my task positive network. And I'm into focus, and I'm using it as leverage. So if that doesn't make sense to you, don't worry about the science. Just know that if you get stuck in a downward spiral or you can't stop worrying, and this just isn't for neurodivergent people, you know, a lot of people have mental health issues, anxiety, depression, all of those things. Use this as a tool to get out of your downward spiral, and use the little bit of science that I just shared to trust that it works. So we're getting ready to wrap up. What would I say to someone thinking about joining the Leadership Academy? If you haven't figured it out by now, do it. Because if you put in the work, the investment will more than pay for itself, especially with the bonuses Bree's giving away right now. The lifetime weekly coaching from literal powerhouses is more than worth the investment alone. You get lifetime weekly coaching anytime you want it. Not to mention the course and the most supportive entrepreneur community I've honestly ever seen. And here's why it's different from other courses, other mentorships that I've been a part of. And trust me, I've invested a lot of money in this thing without a lot of ROI until I joined Bree's, and Bree's was the least expensive, and I've gotten the most ROI. So Bree and her team genuinely care about your ROI. They genuinely want you to make money. They will do everything they can to help you be successful and to help you make money. A lot of courses and communities just focus on training. And you know what? That's super helpful. But if all it adds up to is a pile of debt and you can never actually find the clients, your business will fail. The Leadership Academy is set up for you to find high ticket premium clients with a clear roadmap to get you there and the support to keep you on the track. So please, 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 if this connects with you at all, or you want to ask something about my story, I am going to drop a link in the chat right now. Um, and it is just emilyrayhall.com/VALA. And you can get my reading list. You can book a coffee date. Um, and you can get some more information about the Leadership Academy. So I do just want to say really quickly, if you enroll in the Leadership Academy by Monday, you are going to get all of these amazing bonuses from Bree. You're going to get $800 off. You are going to get a done for you brand package, a brand kit, and you are going to get a summer mini mastermind with Bree, which that's insane. And then also, um, you will get weekly one-on-one coaching support from me for your first 30 days in the academy. And you will also get my signature method to write a cover letter that will get you on a call with a CEO. I have used this, I have developed this in my last 6 months, and you guys, I have been on calls with CEOs, I have been on calls with founders. This is how I found the publishing company. Um, this will get you on the call. And the reason you want to be on the call is it's just a numbers game. The more calls you have, one of them, it's conversion, it's math. So the number of calls you have, and then a certain percentage of those, you take the number of calls you have, and then a certain percentage of those convert. So you really want to get on discovery calls. So I'm going to give you my signature method to get on a discovery call with a CEO. And guess what? You're going to use ChatGPT, and it's probably going to take you less than an hour. And I'm going to show you how to find the CEO or the founder's email address, so you can send it directly to them in a genuine, humble way that converts, and they're not going to think it's weird. I promise. So for some reason, the comments are being really strange, and I cannot write one. I'll drop it in the chat. Oh, here we go. Right here. So this is the link. Just a moment. Okay, so this is the link right here, and you are going to find everything there. And even if you don't want to do the Leadership Academy, go there. I've got my full reading list. I'm going to be adding to it for business success, for all the things. So you can get my reading list. You can you can book a coffee chat with me. I love to meet new people. No, no strings attached. Let's just hop on a call, 15, 20 minutes, get to know each other, and just connect. So you can do all of those things. So I want you to know I'm cheering for you. Rest to rise. You can do this. You're amazing.